Emery. So it's bittersweet to say that Dr. Samuels is resigning from being the North Central School District Superintendent.
Yeah, she is. This is our extra special feature of the Eagle's Eye. Couldn't fit in our normal show, and it's important information to get out to the community. We're still in Tim Shaw Coffee.
Yeah, still in Tim Shaw's Coffee, just in the back.
Yeah, and we're here to talk about Mr. Dormer, the new superintendent for next year.
I wonder if y'all anybody knows who Mr. Dormer is. If y'all don't, you're gonna get to know him because he will be your new superintendent.
Yeah, so he was the assistant superintendent of the district for a while recently, and now he's going to be the superintendent. That's super exciting. We're going to do the interview. Sam's going to do it. It's very important to watch. I think you have to get to know him, see what his ideas are for the district.
See what he has planned for us. It's a lot of great things coming into the high school. We have a great principal. We have stands finally coming. It's a lot of great things that are in store. So hopefully he will just add on to wonderful things that are happening.
Yeah, hopefully incorporate the community with the high. I think just like
that's neat.
now. Yeah. So let's go check out that interview, see what's up with Mr. Dormer.
Hi, I'm Samantha here with Mr. Dormer, the new superintendent, and I'm just going to talk to him a little bit about his goals and stuff like that. Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Samantha. Thanks for taking some time to come down and interview me today.
Oh, no problem. So can you first tell me a little bit about your educational background?
Sure, absolutely. So as you know, I've been the assistant superintendent here in Norristown for the past 2 years. Prior to that, I was a high school principal for 8 years. I spent 3 years down in the Oxford Area School District down in very southern Chester County, very small rural school district, high school of about 1,300 students. 5 years prior to that, I was the principal at Upper Darby High School. Very different, very large urban school. We had about 4,000 students when I was there. I was principal there for 5 years. My 5 years as principal there culminated, I was actually in Upper Darby for 13 years. Started there as a high school biology teacher, was a high school swim coach, was assistant athletic director, and also did 3 years as an assistant principal at Upper Darby. So prior to that, I actually started my educational career in the Lower Merion School District. While I was getting my teaching certification, and worked as a elementary emotional support classroom assistant, which you can imagine the stories I can tell working with 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders, and then transitioning to high school, and now transitioning all the way up to administration.
Okay. So I'm guessing the Upper Darby is the connection between our now principal, Roth, correct?
Yes, it is. Mr. Roth, when I was an administrator there, assistant principal, Mr. Roth first worked with me as a social studies teacher, and then when I became principal, there was just something I saw about him as a great leader. And as he was going through his schooling and got his principal certification, he was an assistant principal for me for about 3 years at Upper Darby. And then when I left, I lobbied very, very hard for him to be my successor there. And he had 4 great years as principal at Upper Darby. And then when the opening in Norristown came, it was great when he reached out to me and said, "Hey, I heard there's an opening," and just said, "I'd really love for you to apply and come and get us working together." Wonderful man, great leader, and again, I think has really set the high school on a great path, and I'm thrilled to have him as part of the administrative team here in Norristown.
Of course. So with all of the educational background, how has that prepared you for your position now as superintendent?
I'll tell you, I think every step along the way really prepares you for stepping into, and let me get on the record. I mean, taking over and running the school district as superintendent, it's such a massive job. You're responsible for everything upon everything. Yes, you are the educational leader. You're working with the school board. You're overseeing a team of administrators. But at the same time, regardless of what you're doing, whether you're a superintendent, assistant superintendent, the one thing that I've always done that I think every step in my career has prepared me for is you can't lose sight of you're in education to serve children.
Of course.
You're in this to make sure that children have the best opportunities and the best learning experiences possible. And the one thing, especially this year was my first, or I shouldn't say this year, the past 2 years as assistant superintendent was the first time I was very directly out of quote unquote my own building. Where when you're building principal, it's your school with your teachers, and you're in there with your students every single day. You get to interact with them every single day. And when you're up here at central office, number one, just by location, you're separated from students, and just with a lot of things that go on. I mean, the days can go by when you don't interact with kids. I think one of the things that that I've made a priority, and certainly working with Dr. Samuels has always been a priority of hers, are students come first, and we need to interact and be in school buildings every single day, because that's where teaching and learning happens. When I could sit up here and be the superintendent and rule from afar and say, here's what I need you to do. But if I'm not helping people where the action's going on, where the students are hopefully getting smarter, better, learning new skills, absorbing new knowledge, preparing them, in the case of high school students, getting them ready for college and their post-secondary dreams, then I'm not doing my job. And that's one of those things that I think it is so very important that as really the top educational leader, I have to make sure that I am in schools and interacting with students and seeing, are we providing the best opportunities for them? So as I've gone along the way, I've always held on to that, transitioning from teacher to assistant principal, assistant principal to principal, principal to assistant superintendent. My focus has always been, what can I do to support the best situation for students to learn and be successful? And so, like I said, every step I've been along the way, I've taken something along with me. There's still things that I'd say, even going back to my experience at Lower Merion, that I know it has impacts the way that I've done my job the past 2 years as assistant superintendent, and certainly as moving into the role of superintendent. Most specifically, I think it's been wonderful to be in the district for 2 years as assistant superintendent, to learn from an absolutely superb leader like Dr. Samuels, to just build the relationships with everybody, so that unlike a lot of districts that go out and do searches where they hire a superintendent and they have to come in and they almost have to sit back for a year and say, what do I have? What goes on in the schools? Who can I go to in the community? What's the interaction with the board? What are the local politicians and municipalities? How do I interact with them? And it's great because I've already established a lot of those relationships.
Yeah, of course.
I think the next step's gonna be strengthening them.
Okay.
But again, I think I have a pretty good handle on where our strengths are, where our needs are, and again, we can almost go into this and start addressing things, with some urgency and immediacy right away.
Yeah, especially being a teacher in your first few years of your career has definitely probably helped you, correct?
Correct. And one of the things that I firmly believe is, number one, even when you move into administration, you're still a teacher.
Yeah, of course.
I may not be in a classroom, teaching your video production class, but you know what? I'm working with Mr. Doyle to make him a better teacher. I'm trying to teach him to be a better teacher so that he impacts you more importantly in your classes. And the same way, not only as a teacher, but I think one of the most important things as educators we have to do is, we expect our students to come in every single day and be learners. We have to continue to be learners. And one thing that has always been something, this is my finishing 22 years in public education this year. And one thing that I've always done is every day I say I have to learn something new. And I'll tell you that when I reflect at the end of the day before I'm leaving, if there's not something that I felt that I've either done new or learned something new, not that I feel like I wasted a day, but I'm like, I didn't get the most out of that day. I'm not a better person because I haven't taken a step forward. And when you're moving into a superintendency and you have 7,500 students and that are counting on you, you better be getting better every day to help them get better every day. So that's really kind of my mindset going into this job, that I've got to continue to grow and improve to make sure that everybody that's that I'm working with, that's counting on me, grows and improves on a daily basis as well.
Of course. So can you tell me what's different about becoming a superintendent from your last position as assistant superintendent?
Certainly. So as assistant superintendent, I focused a lot on, one of my major responsibilities was direct oversight of curriculum instruction. So I spent a lot of time the past 2 years trying to make sure that all of our teaching and learning was aligned with Pennsylvania standards, making sure that we had the best materials. One of the big things that we spent last year and this year doing was also making sure that we had really good alignment from starting in kindergarten through 12th grade. I found when I came in here that we had done things in the past, and again, a lot of this was kind of reactive to No Child Left Behind, when that was kind of the law of the land. But we had done things kind of in piecemeal. Like we brought in a new elementary reading series, but we didn't do anything in high school or middle school. Or we'd bring in a new middle school math series, but we didn't do anything in elementary and high school. And when you piecemeal it like that, as you know, with the way our schools are currently set up, when you go K to 4, you have that consistency. One school, 5 years. Then you go to then there's a transition to middle school, and you go another 4 years, and then there's a transition to high school. to me, if you don't have those very, very good handoffs between 4th and 5th grade in particular, and 8th and 9th grade, that's when students can unknowingly and unnecessarily take steps backwards. So we spent a lot of time last year working with our English language arts and our math, trying to make sure that we had that continuity K to 12. That our 4th and 5th grade teachers had opportunities very directly to say, here's the skills and things we work on in 4th grade, where do you need them ready in 5th grade? And and we did it 5th to 6th, because believe it or not, teaching, in the size of the buildings we have, the number of students we have, even in our middle schools that you went through, 5th grade usually in one area, 6th grade might be all the way across the building, and they don't have those opportunities to more regularly say, in fifth, what do I need to do to 6th grade teachers to make sure they're ready in terms of math skills, in terms of their ability to read, in terms of science going forward. So that's really been what I've spent a lot of my time on as assistant superintendent the past couple of years. So I said last year we did English language arts curriculum K to 12, math K to 12. We're in the middle of writing science K to 12 right now, and we brought some new materials in. And again, we're trying to get back to when we bring new materials in, we do it kind of K to 12 all at the same time.
Okay.
So that again, it's very deliberate. It's very and again, there's that continuity that we go between levels and go between levels. Also, some of the other things that, that are more behind the scenes, teacher evaluation, induction, seeing homebound, like when kids, are sick or hospitalized and can't come to school. I had to work on those pieces. So, and a lot of what I was doing as well as assistant superintendent is supporting Dr. Samuels. I mean, in a district this size, it was really rare to only have, a superintendent without somebody else that can do that level of work. So, it was nice that I was able to kind of take some things off of her plate, and, to make sure that, again, you had, a larger and stronger leadership team to make all the big decisions that we have to. So, in that regard, having worked so closely with her over the past 2 years, I feel, again, that it's going to be, smoother transition. Certainly, I will take things on now as the head superintendent, that I wasn't, we'll say, directly involved with here. But again, looking forward to, in talking with the board, was very much in support of, replacing my position and bringing a new assistant superintendent on.
Yeah.
So again, that, we can have, as kind of that top leadership team, a really strong, almost like Batman and Robin, like that dynamic duo that goes out and, and saves the day. And that's something that, we want to continue with.
Of course. Can you just explain a little bit of what you're doing to make sure you have a smooth transition between the two positions?
Absolutely. Well, like you said, I think one of the biggest benefits is, that I've been here for 2 years.
Yeah.
Like I said, have the relationships with the school board, with all the principals, with a lot of the community stakeholders. So again, it's not me coming in where it's like, wow, like who are you, and what do you do? So again, just having that kind of organizational knowledge, I think, is huge. Dr. Samuels and I are already, already working on that plan. Where once over the next couple weeks as school winds down. It's also nice that she's here till the end of July. So there's about a 5-week period after, even when the teachers leave, when it's kind of when we start resetting for the next school year and do a lot of our administrative work. I have 5 solid weeks with her to sit there and really, to put it kind of bluntly, to kind of suck all the information out of her that I can, get everything that I need, but also to kind of work with her in terms of to glean her knowledge and show you, here's things you need to be aware of. Here's some timelines of things that she would handle that I was not directly aware of, but things that now I'm going to have to directly be responsible for.
Well.
So again, I think just the fact that we have some time together is going to be the best thing of all. And again, the fact that we work so closely together and have a really great relationship is really going to allow me to kind of step in, when I start August 1st, just very, very seamlessly.
Of course. So what are some specific improvements other than those connections between 4th and 5th and 8th and 9th? What are some improvements that you'd like to do in the future as a district as a whole?
Sure. Well, one of the things that, and again, it was kind of interesting that we kind of had in the works. We actually, at the work session this past Monday, presented to the board that I'm very excited about, that it's going to kind of become almost like my jumping off point as superintendent now, which is really looking, we presented to the board a 5-year technology plan for the entire district. So one of the things that we recognized is that, in 21st century now, students use technology every day. They count on technology every day, and there's opportunities to learn through technology every single day. And to us, when students are used to interacting through technology and someone have a desire to do that, if we can connect that with learning, it's gonna increase their engagement in their day-to-day classes. So the 5-year technology plan is really to dramatically increase the amount of devices that students have access to.
Okay.
So, right now, you were probably aware at the high school, because when you started freshman, sophomore year, you probably remember the Classroom for the Future carts that were there. That were about 9 or 10-year-old laptops. We had probably 20 or 30 carts of them. Again, a good number of technology, but they weren't reliable. They were slow. They took 10 minutes to boot up. And teachers said, you know what? I'd rather not use it because of the frustrations.
Of course.
And to me, students lost out on that. So we made a decision when I started 2 years ago with Mr. Long, our director of IT. We said, you know what? We're banging our head against the wall. Let's get these carts out of there. Let's take it one step back to take 2 or 3 steps forward. So you probably noticed we took all of those laptop carts out and started replacing them with Chromebook carts.
Yep.
We weren't able to because of budget constraints to everyone we took out to put back. So this 5-year plan is really just an opportunity to dramatically increase the amount of technology that we have. So really over the 5 years, we're going to accomplish a couple things K to 12. Number one is at the end of 5 years, we will be 1-to-1 at the high school, we will be 1-to-1 at our middle schools, and will be no worse than 2-to-1 devices for every student at our elementary schools. So just the availability that students are going to have on a day-to-day basis to interact with technology and use it for learning is going to dramatically increase. As part of our plan in working with Mr. Roth, because we laid out 2 scenarios and we went with actually a more aggressive one. We're very excited that with the board's coming approval, that we are going to be we're going to launch a 1-to-1 take-home initiative at the high school for the start of the 1920 school year. We're going to spend all of next year building our teachers' capacity up to be able to deliver that. But that is going to be every 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grader will have a Chromebook at their disposal that they can take home and use on a day-to-day basis. So to me, just bringing students forward with skills that we know they're going to need for post-secondary, for college, and for their careers, and to give them those experiences every single day, and to be able to maximize, like for instance, this year we bought new Algebra 1 and Geometry textbooks.
Okay.
With that is this really awesome digital online that is really being underutilized because we don't have the Chromebooks every day in geometry and algebra classes to use. So we're really, really excited that and again, we're waiting on the board's approval. That sounds like we're going to go forward with this. But just the ability that we're going to be able to deliver that and really, I don't want to say level the playing field, but we're going to give our students what a lot of other districts have done for a few years now. Which is more regular exposure to technology. We hear from colleges and employers that's what they need. The kids need to come out of 12th grade with the ability to use and interact with internet-based resources and computer-based resources.
Of course.
And that's what we're going to do for every single child. So so we're very excited to get that going. And again, I think a lot of our focus is going to be then how do we use the technology to also kind of ramp up our instructional game? How do we get teachers to teach differently and improve student achievement? So that really is going to be our focus really for the first couple years of my superintendency, which is how do we improve, and again, how do we change how we teach so that we get better results, with every student and not just, ones that, are already doing okay, that we raise the game for everybody.
Of course. So other than that 1-to-1 ratio of Chromebooks, what's another thing, like no limits, no financial limit, that you would like to do for our district?
Wow. If I had no financial limits, can I take regulatory stuff off too, like all the laws we have?
Yes, everything.
I would tell you very honestly, if I could rule the world, and I would really scale back dramatically, the amount of standardized testing we do.
Okay.
And I would go to a more performance-based school system where kids could move through as they master things. To me, that's what school's about. It's about there's a set of knowledge and a set of skills we want you to have, and the idea is that you master it. And unfortunately, the way that we play the game right now, like you probably remember Algebra 1.
Of course.
We have this is what we have to do. We ram through it. You take the keystone. You know it or you don't know it, and we move you on.
Yeah.
How is that getting you ready for life in terms of making sure, if we're saying Algebra 1 is so important, these are skills that are so vital that we're just going to, okay, let's move on. Yeah. And there's a remediation option with Keystone Enrichment. And we'll eventually get you there. But to me, that's where I think education could do differently.
Okay.
And unfortunately, I think some of the regulatory things with testing requirements and all those pieces just make it hard. But to me, how great would it be for you to sign up for an algebra course and say, you know what, let me move a little bit at my own pace. Let me have a teacher available when to come in and like show me how to do things and go. When I'm ready to master and move on, let me move on.
Yeah.
And let me take some things that are more things that are of interest to me versus things that I'm necessarily forced to. So again, I mean, will that ever happen in education? That will never happen in education
Yeah.
because A, we don't have the money to do it, and B, I don't think the laws will ever go that way. But to me, I think the more we can push towards things where we leverage student interest, especially at the high school level, we get them connected in pathways of things that they want to do and find ways to get them more successfully through the things that they have to do. To me, that is that no dollar. To me, that's good. That's what school should be.
Yeah.
And I think, when you look at kids that struggle to engage and come to school, if you can find things that get their feet on the floor, I'm like, wow, I want to go to school today because I get to take this one awesome class that I'm so excited for. And you know what? And math might not be my thing, but the way they're teaching me, I'm there. I can do it. I can be successful. To me, that to me is what it would look like perfectly in the world.
So student preparedness is really important. to you.
Absolutely.
So, other than the standardized testings and stuff like that too, what are some of the hardest challenges to overcome?
Oh, I think probably two of the biggest challenges that we run into moving into a superintendency, we have so many unfunded mandates that come down to us from both the state and federal government. Things that we're mandated to do that they just don't give us the dollars to go ahead and to do in the best way that we can.
Okay.
And and I think as high school students, you guys are probably plugged in, especially the past couple of years. Our budget seasons have been really tough in terms of trying to make sure that we have the staff and the resources and everything we need to deliver a really rich and robust educational program, but also to do that within the amount that we're allowed to raise taxes, the amount of money that we are or are not getting from both the state and federal level. And, and I think that's hard, and trust me, I mean, I think I've prided myself as I've gone through my career in being not wasting money and just not spending money to spend money. And as I talked about, I think one of the biggest things, when you get outside the unfunded mandates is, how do we connect with kids in a way that makes them want to come to school?
Yeah.
And to me, that responsibility of, where we talked about that preparedness.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest challenges is kind of the unknown where, we're sending you guys off hopefully to college or to work. Are we doing the best for you that's going to get you ready for a meaningful career, a life-sustaining wage? And again, it's funny because I think a couple of years ago, these are things we weren't really focused on in K-12 education. We were worried about graduate high school and then good luck. And I think our focus has really changed. And it's something I take very seriously in terms of we want to make sure that students have that preparedness and see what they want to ultimately do with their lives, and they see the pathway to it. So, but I think that's a challenge, especially when a lot of times we're asking kids to say, what do you want to do? And we're asking them when they're 13 and 14 years old.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been a high school principal, I was a high school principal long enough, I took to a 13, 14-year-old, and they're sitting there going, what do you want to do with your life? I'm going to go play in the NBA. Well, that's great, but are you even on our freshman basketball team? Is that even a realistic path for you? Hey, if you can figure it out, great. You want to go make $10 million, I'll retire and come be your agent. That's awesome.
Yeah.
But, I think some of the challenge is to make sure that we're preparing kids realistically, but also giving them
Opportunity.
Exactly. Yeah. That we are not saying that you chose this path and now you're stuck on this path.
Yeah.
That they have a broad thing to say, you know what? You're saying you're going to go off to Hofstra, you're going to study communications. Well, maybe you get there after a year and you say, you know what? No, I want to go to law school. Well, to me, if we've given you skills that allows you to zig, to make that minor course adjustment, then we've absolutely done right by you. So I think that is a big challenge to make sure that we have students ready ultimately for what they do beyond 12th grade, but again, that they're ultimately prepared for their careers.
Of course. So, what is the challenge of being a Caucasian superintendent, being at a majority-minority school district?
I think the biggest challenge is really just, I don't want to say the surface perception, but when people look at me and they're going to see a white male as their superintendent in a school district that's very diverse. And I think one of the things and one of the reasons I was very glad when you guys reached out and said, hey, Mr. Dormer, let's do this interview, that I'm a big believer in personal interactions. That, to me, you're never going to change that I'm male. You're never going to change that I'm white. The way that we can't change, the people here that are white females or black males or Latino females or, all the diversity we have in this school district. But I think when people get to know me as a person and to know what my values are and what I stand for and what I want for all the children here in the school district, I think some of those perceptual pieces fall away. And I think that one of the things I'm really going to have to focus on, again, is strong communication. And all the things that I kind of talked about in terms of what I want for every child. When the board voted me in last week, I spoke about that, where, I look at my own 3 daughters, and they're just a constant reminder for me that, what I want for them, I literally want for every child in the school district, and it comes back to opportunities.
Of course.
So, I think some of the challenges is going to be make sure that I'm making myself available so that anybody knows what I stand for, and that we can have those conversations and meet the different needs. Because I think, Sam, one of the things you bring up is not only the perception of being a white male, but the things that people with what my needs are very different than some of the other stakeholders and the different ethnicities and cultures we have in our school district. And I think it's going to take me understanding them by getting to know them personally and having open lines of communication so that we can best serve them from the superintendency and from the district level.
Of course. So even with the connection to the community, how will you make sure that connection is strong between the school district and the community? I
think one of the best things that we started over the past 2 years is, and again, Dr. Samuel's instrumental in doing this, is the district cultural proficiency and diversity plan that we have enacted now. Okay. So over the past 2 years, our entire administrative team has worked with a consultant who specialized in cultural proficiency, and I think we've really grown in our ability to have some very realistic conversations around race, around culture, around diversity. And I think that that's going to be important, that we take those next steps towards the next layer. The next focus this year is really going to be to move teachers forward in terms of their own cultural proficiency and cultural awareness and their, I don't want to say sensitivity to diversity, but their ability to work with diverse populations. Over the 5 years, again, part of that is, what can we do to engage with our community stakeholders, with our families, with our parents that come from our different diverse backgrounds, but also to bring our parents forward in that way, and bring our students forward, so that we are an accepting community. We know who we are. We recognize our differences, but we also celebrate our differences. Yeah. And I think that that's an important piece that again, over those first couple of years of my superintendency are going to be key to making sure that not just me communicating one way, saying here's what we're doing, that it really is that two-way street of communication, so that we know what people, what their needs are, so that we can be reactive with not only the educational program, but the supports we provide to make sure that people feel connected, they feel value in sending their kids to Norristown Area School District schools, and that they feel proud that they are a member of the school district. Yeah. And I think we all know there are some regional perceptions that need to change about our district. I think those of us that are here know there's awesome things that go on every day. But I think the more that we can engage people meaningfully and have those honest conversations around culture and race and all those things, I think we can break those walls down and start sending a very different message about our district. Of course.
So also with the community as well, how will you incorporate the changes of social roles in school, like gender, immigration, and language?
Again, I think we need to come up with forums and opportunities to engage our stakeholders. One of the things that I want to get out and do even before school's out is to do some town hall meet and greets and just listen to people. Yeah. Just to say, hi, I'm Chris Dormer, I'm the new superintendent. And again, we're really going to be focused on opportunities. We're going to be focusing on growth. We want to talk about bolstering our program, but really, like, what do you need the school district to be for you? And I think we need to find ongoing ways to get more and more parents involved, more and more community members involved, more and more students involved. One of the things that that I'm going to be working on with Mr. Roth on
Yeah.
is I want to have a student advisory council, a group of high school students that maybe I'm thinking we meet quarterly, and they just tell me like what's going on. How do you feel? What do we need? Are we on the right track? Are we missing the ball? To make sure that their voices are heard,
Yeah.
but also to make sure that when we bring things in, like this 5-year technology plan, we think we have a great idea. Where do we need to maybe do some course adjustments to
How
make
is it
sure
interacting with the
absolutely
students?
to make sure it is effective and is meeting their needs? Because again, we can have the greatest ideas, but if we don't meet the needs of every single person, every single learner, then we're not doing our jobs.
So you want to make sure we have the open line of communication between
Absolutely.
the top and the students as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. To me, it's not going to be something where I'm going to be hiding up here. I want to have both, formal structures where, again, an advisory council, but also informal. I want
Yeah.
to do some very deliberate things in the beginning of the year so that students to me, the same way in large schools, like everyone at that high school deserves to know and have a personal relationship with Mr. Roth, the principal. I feel the same way. A little bit tougher with, because of the scale,
Yeah.
but every student in this district or parent in this district has the right to have a personal relationship with their superintendent.
course.
So I want to make sure they know me, they know who I am, they feel I'm approachable, and again, that, that we have that two-way communication. It's just not me saying, hey, this is the new school year and here are the goals and we'll see in June. That they can come up to me and say, Mr. Dormer, I know we talked about this, but either this is working or this isn't, or can you help me with this?
Yeah,
or,
of course.
can you help this group with this, or we need a little bit more of this or a little bit less of that. I think,
Yeah.
again, having that authentic relationship is going to be vital to moving forward.
So, in your opinion, what's the biggest strength of Norristown as a whole?
People. We have great people, great kids, great families. I think everybody here wants the best. And you see it every single day. To me, and I said this when I became assistant superintendent, I think one of the special things when you look at a lot of Norristown, people have been here for generations.
Yeah.
Our current students, their parents went here, their grandparents went here. I think I found someone that their great-grandparents went here too. And again, you look back to the original Norristown School District, going back to 1836. We're 100, we're pushing almost 200 years now. We should have that legacy of when you have that excellent experience and to me, I think that speaks a lot about the community. That my experience as a student here made me want to move back here and to send my kids through the school district.
Of course.
And I think that is such a huge jumping point. And again, when you talk to people, and even when you hear people, we'll say talk not so flatteringly about it, they want the best. And I think that is universal across our three towns that make up to me our school community. And I think we need to find ways, as we talked about, to have authentic relationships that we leverage that better, because I think everybody wants they want great things, and I think a lot of people just don't know how to express it and don't know how to connect with everything that they need to help their kids realize to the maximum. So I think it's one of those things that to me, it's one of those special things that I think we can find better ways. It's a strength. We need to find a way to leverage it even better. I think we have a lot of local resources around here that we can do a better job tapping, just in terms where we talk about career opportunities. Those things. We have so many business and industry around here that we need to get them interacting more frequently with our students to say, like, hey, like if you do want to come back and live here and raise your family here, here's the different job opportunities that you have. So don't go sitting here saying, oh, I'm going to go be a nuclear physicist, and there's no opportunities to do that in Norristown. But there's great opportunities to go be a high level quantum chemist at Quaker Chemical, or I can go become a business manager or vice president at First Quality, which is right across there, or I can go become a nurse practitioner and work right at Einstein Health System. So I think we need to kind of foster the strengths that we do have in terms of the business, the industry, the people that are here, the people that want to be here, to get everyone excited about the opportunities that we have within our community.
And I know you said about the three towns, which is East Norton, West Norton, and Norristown. How is it working with all three of them? Because we are a district of all three, and I
Correct.
can know that can get very complicated.
And again, one of the first things I'm going to do probably in the next couple of weeks is really meet with the municipal leaders in all three, in those three entities, and to find out again, how can we strengthen those relationships, directly with the district, but also, how can we get the three entities working a little bit more collaboratively together?
Of course.
Because again, as much as we are kind of that focal point that, as you said, that brings Norristown, West Norton, and East Norton together. And I think we can leverage that to, again, just strengthen the opportunities for everybody. And again, maybe, I think there are things we can do that can also help them be places, because all three of those entities want to be that place, want to be that focal point to say, just from, from a real estate point of view, come move here, come live here. And I think, we need to help them to say this is a great place to come and live and to raise a family. So, I think those are things that we want to, I think there are good relationships, but again, I think we want to see how we can maximize, the great people that are already in all three of those entities and get them to come together and have the school district be that place where we come together.
Yeah, of course. So, is there any information that you would want the students to know themselves?
So my message to the students very simply is this: as you can hear, number one, if you give me a microphone, I will fill the airtime. I have no problem, talking and really trying to express who I am and what I stand for. But very simply, I'm a passionate individual. I'm a dedicated individual. I bring 110% every single day. I'm here for every single student in the Norristown Area School District, and I want to get to know and have that personal relationship with every single student here, and know what can I do for them. There are times I'm going to have to make global decisions that are in the best interest of the group, but very simply, as I've done, sitting as assistant superintendent, and I know as Dr. Samuel's done as superintendent, there's times when it takes going down to a school and going into a classroom and sitting with a child, or meeting with one individual family to try to figure out what that one child needs. But I want them to know that I'm here for them. I will do anything it takes to make sure that they have every opportunity to achieve every hope and dream that they could possibly have. I want the sky to be the limit for every single child in the school district, and I don't ever want to hear the word can't. The kid saying, I can't do this, I can't go here, I'll never do that. One thing that I've always preached as a school leader with every teacher I've ever worked with, every staff member I've worked for, that don't come to me with your problems. If you do, if there's something we need to work on, you can tell me what it is, but you need to come with at least 3 solutions to that. To me, is this problems are opportunities to get better, and I try to have that kind of positive mindset and that growth mindset, and that's what I want people to know, that we're not going to dwell on the negative. That the things that people saying we have to fix this. It's an opportunity for us to get better as an organization.
Of course.
It's an opportunity for us to get better as a district, and it's an opportunity for us to get better as a community. And and that's what I want people to know. I'm here. I want to be here. Very deliberately when the opportunity to become an assistant superintendent, was one of my goals. This was because I was asked this when I was going through the interview process. You need to stop the applications, and if you're interviewing anywhere else, I said, I'm not interviewing anywhere else. This is where I want to be. I want to be in Norristown. I want to be in the Norristown Area School District. I want to serve these great 3 towns and the great people of this community. So I'm here, and as long as the board has me, I'm not going anywhere. And I'm going to bring that passion to work every day. And we're and again, I want everyone to achieve whatever they want for their children.
Yeah, of course. Is there anything different that you want to directly say to parents, or is it the same kind of message as well?
I think it's a lot of the same message, is that, to parents, number one, I'm here, and I would challenge our parents to try to match my energy and enthusiasm for what we're going to do. And to parents, and I know it's tough because they're trying to provide for their families and all this, but to our parents, we need you to be part of your kids' lives.
Yeah.
And so many of our parents do, and they're such champions for their kids and advocates for their kids. But if you start with whatever level of involvement or commitment you have in kindergarten, as hard as this is, maintain it through 12th grade. I think we see the phenomenon as kids go to middle school, parents start backing off. When they go to high school, they really start backing off. And and you guys aren't going to admit this as high school students, but when you hit those 8th, 9th, 10th grade, you're going through probably the biggest physical, emotional, social changes at any point in your life. And you're trying to find your identity and who you are. And to me, that's when parents need to be most involved. Even though you as students are saying, get away, and not that you did this, Sam, but leave me alone and I hate you and you don't understand it. But as parents, you need to be that guiding hand irregardless of what your kids are going through.
Of course.
You know, and really, don't ever think you're an inconvenience to us here in the school district. Come up, say, you know, engage us in conversation. Engage us in arguments. I mean, I have parents come up here and say, you know, you must hate me because I'm yelling at you. And I say, you are here advocating for your child, and I cannot thank you enough that you took the time to come up and to try to put your child in a better situation to be successful. And that's really my message, is be involved with us, be engaged with us, be there for your children, and help us to put them in the best position to be successful.
Of course. So, can you just explain to me a little bit about who's on your team for the next school years?
Sure. Well, we have a couple seats to fill because obviously me moving up to superintendent with Dr. Samuels retiring, the board has just authorized a search to find a new assistant superintendent. And again, I'm excited to find somebody that comes in, that's smart, that's passionate, that has a real skill set. That, again, looking for someone that understands our community. That's ready to step in and is not afraid to do hard work, but also looking for somebody that I would say has a complementary skill set to what I do. I think one thing that I found as a leader over the years is, if there's 6 people at your leadership table, and all 6 of them have the same skills and do the same thing, and if I have gaps, and things that I need to work on, and everybody else has the same gaps, then we're not as strong as we can be as a team.
Of course.
That as a team, we're as strong as we are as the sum total of our parts. So I'm, again, looking for someone that's going to come in and has that complementary skill set, but matches, hopefully, my passion, my energy, and all those things, and just desire the kids can. The one thing that drives me crazy is, when teachers turn around and say, oh, but this kid can, or this kid, isn't able to do that. They're just not there yet, and you need to keep pushing them forward.
Of course.
So again, really looking forward to adding a really passionate educator's assistant superintendent. Ms. Rourke, our chief financial officer, is part of my cabinet. Wizard with the dollars, but again, the one thing I really respect about Ms. Rourke is she understands that every single dollar has to serve a very firm educational purpose for students. I've been in other places where the business manager's the bottom line. You have this amount of money and that's it, and they don't understand that some of the dollars that they may be siphoning really have dramatic impacts on teachers, on programs, on things like that. So the one thing that I really love about Ms. Rourke is she understands that every dollar has a very specific purpose, and really has really fought to advocate for maintaining funding, increasing funding, and making sure that we're adding to our programs and not subtracting from our programs. Talked a little bit about Mr. Long, our director of information systems, our IT director. Again, I want to compliment him not only for he and I kind of worked on the 5-year tech plan, his vision for bringing to fruition, but his vision over the past, we'll say 5 years, that he has spent our dollars so well that our infrastructure in terms of internet access points, our bandwidth and all those things that we talked about adding 6,000 devices over 5 years. We're ready to go. So his foresight, I think, has been vital, and now he's going to shift into more of a mode of how can I help teachers use that technology effectively.
Of course.
So he's going to be a key member of the team. Ms. Molitor, our pupil services director, who oversees special ed and our home and school team, going to be a key member of the team. HR, Ms. Vargas, who is the current director, is going to be retiring, so we're going to be filling that position. And again, I think we have great people on our curriculum instruction team that are going to be here, that understand my vision for curriculum instruction, and me moving up and bringing in a new assistant super. I think that vision is going to continue. And again, we talked about the vertical alignment we did with English language arts and math, and we're currently doing with science. Social studies is next. And then again, we're going to start working out, fleshing that out in all of our related arts and elective areas. So, I think our program is really on an upward trajectory, and I think we're really poised to kind of, see student results start swinging in that direction in the immediate future. So, again, I think we have a really good team here of dedicated educators. I'll specifically mention Ms. Baker, who's one of our curriculum supervisors, Ms. Pennypacker, who's our English language development supervisor. We have a large population of English learners here. She has done such a fabulous job working with those departments, getting kids to really accelerate their language acquisition so that they can get into we'll call it our regular core program, so they can experience all the awesome things that we have. So she's such a core member of our team. Another one, Miss Odenthal, who's our PR and grant writer. As you know, our budgets have been really tight. She's been phenomenal in going out and connecting with corporations and foundations and just scholarship opportunities and bringing us extra dollars to do some extra and creative things. And as we talked about, I think one of the biggest things that I want to work with Ms. Odenthal in, changing the perception of people of what our school district really is. So I think she's going to be a key member, especially I'd say in my first year, to make sure that again people know what Norristown Area School District is really about versus what they think it's about.
Yeah.
And again, to me, a lot of those myths that are just told people, oh, I heard it's this or I heard it's that. And I'm sure you've heard them as a student. And probably 9 out of 10 of them are just not true.
Yeah.
And there's just things we're talking about. But I think, again, we need to be much more deliberate in our messaging so that we can tell the narrative and get people believing the narrative. So she's been great this past year that I've worked with her and kind of getting our social media presence up and going. I know Mr. Roth's had a ton of fun with Twitter. Not that I needed to twist his arm real hard, but I told all of our principals, I said, drop dead. We set a date and I said, you're up on Twitter. You're posting minimally once a week. And again, to me, it's just an easy way for us to get that positive message out to our families. Great things happen every day.
Of course.
And I think they do. And I think, you look at our going to be graduating seniors can really be a testament to quality education, awesome opportunities, and again, just positive things that go on in the school district every day. So, I'm excited with the team that we have. Again, looking forward to filling with some really passionate people. They're going to have some key roles to taking us to that next level.
Of course. And then overall, let's just take a recap of your overall goals for the next school years that you'll be superintendent.
Sure. So again, one of the big things we want to do in terms of our cultural proficiency is making sure that we're taking a step forward in terms of acknowledging our diverse community and making sure that our teachers are able to, I'd say, access and build off the cultural and racial and ethnic knowledge that the students bring to them every day. Because again, I think when students are able to share, here's who I am and here's who I come from, and teachers find ways to build that into learning, the learning is just better. So again, I think, making sure our cultural proficiency is front and foremost in our educational process is going to be one. We talked about, again, we're going to be ramping our the availability of technology out. And again, so the goal is really going to be getting our staff ready to make sure that they're able to teach using technology so that students can better learn through technology. Obviously, in terms of we're going to continue with the goal to continue to better align and deliver more robust and rich curriculum and rigorous curriculum so that our student achievement and our growth, which is one thing that I'm real big on, and I'm sure you guys heard that with Mr. Roth a lot at the high school, that if we can get students to grow, proficiency takes care of itself. When you get students to grow, those ultimate achievement goals take care of itself. So we're going to be very, very focused on a daily basis on certain benchmarks, demonstrating the students have demonstrated significant growth from where they started at the beginning of the year, the middle of the year, and then again, hopefully towards the end of the year.
Of course.
So, those are really kind of the three big things that I want to focus on. And then, like I said, the last one is really just, it's just the communication and the PR and just the engagement that we're going to have with our stakeholders and making sure they know we're here, we're listening, and giving and really trying to furnish that two-way communication. Letting people know what we're doing, but also them telling us what they need so that we can deliver the education that they want for their children here in the Norristown Area School District.
Of course. And is there anything else you'd like to add to let the community or students know as a whole?
Just want to say, really thank you to the community. It's been a wonderful 2 years for how they've embraced me. Thank you to the board for giving me this opportunity to believe in me, superintendent, and just, to say to everybody, come get to know us collectively, not just me as superintendent, but as a district. And I think, if you give us the time, we're going to more than reciprocate that with our time. And again, I think those strong partnerships and relationships are what going to carry us to a really bright future here in Norristown.
Okay. Thank you so much. I wish you well.
Thank you, Samantha.
I know I won't be here, but
I wish you well in college. And again, I
Thank
think everything you've accomplished is a testament to the great education we have here in Norristown, and I'm hoping that I can build on that over my tenure as superintendent.
Of course, and we wish you well.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for watching.